months long, really was a microcosm of life. I mean, it was about the challenges that you had every day in SEAL training were the same sort of challenges you were going to face in life. You were going to fail. You had to build relationships. There were going to be bullies out there. There were bad things that happened in that 6 months that, to me, after now almost 37 years after I had gone through SEAL training, I realized that it really was a reflection of life at large.
Only about a quarter of those who go through Navy SEAL training actually make it.
Yeah.
It's an astoundingly low percentage. What's the difference between those who succeed and those who fail?
In my class, we had an American Indian, we had African Americans, we had Polish, French, we had a lot of first generation kids. There's only one thing that we all have in common, and it isn't our physical fitness. It's the fact that we didn't quit. I'm going to kind of walk you through my career and just give you this sense of some of the things that I have learned along the way.
Big Navy says no way. Big Navy says no way.
And the only thing that we had in common when it was all done was we didn't quit. And the reason that's so important, I think, for a SEAL is not about the concern, are you going to quit on the mission? Because the mission sometimes fills you full of adrenaline and you just keep going. But you're going to have 1,000 opportunities to quit in your career. In the military, you move every couple of years. It's hard on your family. You can always find reasons why you're just not going to move another time. It's hard on your family. It's hard on your friends. It's hard on everything. And so there's a lot of opportunities to quit on your family, to quit on your friends, to quit on the mission. But if you have learned early on that the one thing that sets you apart is that you don't quit, then you can make it through those tough times. I didn't want to be a quitter. I didn't want someone to think that I wasn't tough enough to make it through.
Oh, you better get out of my way now. Oh, you better get out of my way now.
I was a midshipman here going through the Naval ROTC program, and in the very first semester of Naval ROTC, you get Navy history. And so we talk about all the great naval battles out there, but the young lieutenant who was teaching the class at the time talked to us about Chester Nimitz. So the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor in 1941. In 1942, now Nimitz is debating whether he is going to engage the Japanese fleet at this tiny little island in the Pacific called Midway. Well, most of his staff thought it was a bad idea. Nimitz is really grappling with this. Should I try to engage the Japanese fleet at Midway? And he goes to see one of his closest friends, Admiral Bull Halsey. And Halsey at the time had shingles, and he was in the hospital in Pearl Harbor. So Nimitz goes to see him, and he tells him about his dilemma. And he says, I just don't know what to do. And Halsey was this kind of gruff old admiral, and he says, well, Admiral, you used to tell me, when in command, command. And the point was, you're in charge, take charge. Make the hard decisions, because that's what people expect when you are the commander. Whenever I thought about the difficult decisions that I had to make, I thought how they paled in comparison to the decisions that Nimitz had to make. And it always came back to me, hey, when in command, command.
It's just that kind of soothes the soul.
When you are in a leadership position, and I don't care whether you're leading 2 people at Starbucks, or whether you're leading a giant corporation, or whether you're leading Navy SEALs, you get a certain energy in command. And we used to talk about it in the military. There is the energy of command. People a lot of times think that energy comes from the clouds, or from it comes from the people you're leading. You know that as a leader you have a responsibility to the men and women that you are leading. When things are their toughest, that's when they need you the most. That's when you have to show up. And if you show up and your head's hung and your shoulders are slumped and you don't look like you have a plan for getting through the tough times, that will spread through an organization like wildfire. And so your responsibility as a person in a leadership position is, when things are their worst, that's when you have to step up. And you can't have a bad day on those days. Now, we all have bad days. I mean, we all have bad days, but you take those bad days and you keep them in your office, or you, as I talked about with your swim buddy, you talk to somebody about it. But when you have to address the people that are serving you, that you are serving, that are responsible for getting the work done, you better make sure you are, clear-eyed, shoulders back, head up, look confident, and make sure you've got a plan to move forward through the tough times.
Just a rolling down.